Welcome to Spiritual Psychic with Sarah Wiseman, where you'll learn how to unlock the secrets of spiritual intuition and your own psychic gifts. Here's Sarah.
Hey everybody, I'm Sarah Wiseman. Today our topic is, what are you really? As a soul, you are God. The smallest particulate of you is God. The entire auric field of you is God. By God, we do not mean God as you may know Him from your childhood or your culture. We mean the ineffable one, all divine source universe that is part and parcel of all souls. You as soul are God. You as collective soul are God. Collective soul as universe is God. This is true for the smallest energy particulate. This is true for the infinite universe. You cannot separate yourself from this reality. You cannot take the God part out of yourself. This lesson is interesting because the title is, what are you really? Not who are you really? What are you really? And they are saying, and these messages are channeled, they are saying what you are is God. What you are. And they're saying you as soul are God, you as collective soul are God, collective soul as universe is God. This is true for the smallest energy particulate. This is true for the infinite universe. So the big and the small, the macro and the micro, the past and the present, the here and the now, the good and the bad, it's all God, one, all, divine, universe, source, all the words. And so if we start to believe this, and a lot of religions have this idea, this is a kind of an idea in Christianity for sure, some parts, this is not an idea that just comes from this particular text that I've read, but when you start to really work with this idea, well, if this is true, if what I am is particulate of God, then what does my life mean and how should I be in my life? If this is true, then how do I make decisions based on that? Because this is not what the culture is telling us. When I was a little child, I was really, I was sort of weird, spiritually weird, and I had a lot of experiences, and I don't even know where my information came from back then, being so young, but I remember learning to write and having these notebooks and writing over and over, God is love, love is God. This was I would just cover the notebooks with this. And so I had this belief or this understanding early. And yet, how do you grow into this when the culture is not saying God is love, love is God, God is oneness, oneness is God? The culture is not saying that. The culture is saying you need to get good grades in school. You need to be social with your friends. You need to get this kind of job. You need to get this kind of partnership. You need to have this idea of success in the world. Here's your path, and that's very nice about all that God stuff and that oneness stuff, but let's focus on the practicalities of your life, right? It's confusing, and I have my own version of what the misbeliefs that were laid in front of me were all about, and you have your own version of what your family or your culture or the part of the world you were born into or whatever influences came to you, whatever path you were given, I'm guessing probably that oneness, even if it were an idea that you understood, it was kind of like, oh yeah, just that's all well and good, but please don't bring that into, your college admission application. Please don't bring that into the person that you marry or you start a family with. That's what you did. Please don't bring that into the career. Let's just stay on the track and be stable and make money and have families and just be stabilized. So this was my cultural upbringing. Yours might have been really different, but this is the idea that we have this idea of oneness, and the world crowds in and says, okay, great, but let's get realistic here. So what do you do with that? And I think if you truly accept now, with whatever part of the spiritual path you're on, this is the higher truth. This is the bigger truth level, and everything you were told is like subpar to the bigger truth. So which one are you going to go with now? And I would say you're going to go with the higher truth now. Attaching to the higher truth of oneness, being part of oneness and being part of collective soul, and working from that understanding rather than working from the linear, pragmatic, smaller view. If you work with the higher view, you'll be led to a different potentiality. You'll be led to a different style of path. If you're working with the ideas that the culture brings you, you're going to be brought to that level of possibility. Is entirely your choice, but you can't have both. You can't be like, I just really love God and oneness, and I want this giant house and all this prestige, and the universe is like, no, you can't straddle both fences. Which do you want? I'm not saying you can't be wealthy, but that's not going to happen because you want it. It's going to happen because the universe thinks you need it for some reason. A lot of people are going to disagree about this part. They're still in that old pattern of, I can create what I want. I'm just going to tell the universe I want. The universe is going to make it for me. It's old way, old superstition. We've kind of moved past that level of old law of attraction. Again, a lot of people won't like this, but that's what I've come to understand. You cannot separate yourself from this reality. You cannot take the God part out of yourself. And this will require or offer you different choices as you move along on your soul path.